who I am. She has changed my mindset to a place that I know that I am more powerful today than I would have ever been if I had never met Barbara Smith.
Here we go. Welcome to the first Thursday in March. Oh my God, it's Women's History Month, and I'm super excited that you're here with us today. I am excited beyond belief to talk about women's history. But before we do, you might want to know why we do the Empowering You Show. The Empowering You Show is designed to uplift, elevate, and showcase small businesses, especially people who are doing great things in the community. Today is no different. And we also showcase those people in their own element, letting them tell their stories, letting them show what they have to provide to the world. But before we do that, I want to bring up one of the best co-hosts on the planet, the sensationally smooth, sexy, sassy Shani Smith. Come on up, Shani.
I'm a little spicy too. I just want to say that.
How you doing today, my sister?
I am, as my coach would say, great and grateful. I'm feeling so good. I'm so good. Can't believe it's March. But
can you believe it? It's already March, and it's getting ready to be first quarter done in this
like
20,
done.
Like stick a fork in it, done. No pun intended to the chef. Let me ask you this question, Matt.
There.
It's March, it's Women's History Month, and we want to showcase our guest in a different way. We have the phenomenal person. Well, I don't want to give it away just yet. What do you think? What are your thoughts about Women's History Month?
To be honest, even though I'm a little seasoned, I really didn't pay much attention to it because I think that we, or at least I do, have always taken for granted some of the things that, I do, that women around me have done, and just really didn't see the importance. It just felt like that's your job.
Yeah.
And because of that, I don't think there's the appreciation that really needs to be around it, that it needs to be celebrated. Yes. I have come to, through life experiences, understand that we have to be celebrated, if nobody, from no one else, ourselves. I mean, a real shish kumbaya, get the pom-poms out and really celebrate all that we do. Because if we were to write it down, and we really take for granted like so much, we play so many roles.
Yeah.
So many roles.
To the place where we don't even rest, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Today, our guest is the phenomenally acclaimed, the GOAT, the EGOT, Viola Davis. Take a look at this.
I feel that work is a cultural narrative out there. Mm-hmm. It's a cultural narrative that, okay, you want generational wealth, you want to leave legacy, all of that. And it's all driven by trauma.
Yep.
All of it is driven because what it is you don't deserve to rest.
Yeah.
That's what it's driven by. You don't deserve to rest. It's all driven by the idea of no self-love. All of it, your life should be ease. All of it should be ease. And ease comes with walking into a room and feeling very comfortable with showing up and being seen. And what I find with Black women, I will say this, is we come into a room and we outstrong each other. And we outstrong each other by showing each other our resume. Yeah, girl, I belong to the Lynx. I belong to Hot Chocolate Club, and I got, my girls and brownie, whatever. My face is beat. you know. And I remember literally I had an interview with a reporter in the UK for Fences, and she said, I don't understand this movie. I would never have done what Rose did
Hmm.
with raising a child by another woman with my man in the house. I don't even understand that. I said, well, you know what? We do a lot of things in life that are messy that you
Yeah.
probably wouldn't understand. You know, that's human beings are they're deep.
Wow, that
Yeah.
part.
Yeah. And so I want to talk about that clip. I want to talk about, first of all, Viola, if you ever watch, I'm going to tag you on this because I think you are the most phenomenal actress on the planet. I don't care, black, white, green, purple, polka dotted. I think Viola Davis has not been given the props that she deserves for the multifaceted roles she has played to
Mhm.
superior excellence. So kudos to you, Viola, on getting the EGOT. Have always been a fan of your work.
Yeah,
She
she
said,
embodies it.
yes, she said something in the clip, a lot of stuff to unpack in that little small clip. And one of the things I want to talk about is women in leadership, especially Black women in leadership.
Mhm.
You know, it doesn't take away from anything for us to be who we are, but yet we have this competitive spirit even in our colorism statements. You know, that light skinned person, or I'm a very dark skinned person.
Right.
Where do we learn that? Where did we get that there should be a differentiation between, even in our culture, between our colors, between the beautiful rainbow of melanin that we are? Where do we get that? And why do we keep perpetrating it? Why do we keep using it? Why do we keep using it against each other? Is my
Really?
you know?
I mean, I don't think I'm alone where it was just like you better not play outside too much because what might happen. You know, or you can tell you've been in the sun. All those things that just kind of resonate. But what she talks about is so true. What there's this I don't know if the competition comes from the fact that you think you did it and not God did it, or what that error is, but we have to figure out a way to stop it. I mean, we're in a place right now where the vice president is a woman of color,
Yeah.
and I feel like I haven't heard much of anything about that. Like representation doesn't really truly matter. In
But it's
fact, we did was we talked about things that why she really wasn't who she is or what's going on, and instead of really just celebrating the fact that representation really matters. Like,
representation does really matter. And as a matter of fact, you know, us celebrating each other is so uncommon. I
yeah,
remember I walked into a grocery store one day. It's been some time ago now. And I am heterosexual. Let's put it out there, okay? But I walked up to this woman. Her hair was immaculate. Her jewelry, her clothing, her shoes, everything was in place, matching just so. She looked amazing. And me, the friendly person that I am, walked over to her and said, ma'am, you are slaying in that outfit. You look amazing, phenomenally amazing. She turned around and looked at me as if I had spit in her face, like disgusted that I would even approach her to say anything. And I thought to myself, so what was that about? Thank you. Okay. And I will do that 100 times when I see a woman that looks amazing. Why? Because we don't get celebrated enough.
no,
Women, period. I'm talking, doesn't matter, black, white, again, pink, purple, polka dotted. We don't get celebrated enough. And Women's History Month gives us that opportunity to celebrate the history of women.
on purpose.
Yes.
On purpose.
And it's, you know, in the boardroom, one of the reasons why I left corporate America was we weren't, there was, first of all, there was only 2 people, me being one of them, that looked like me in the position of engineer.
Mm-hmm.
And representation does matter, because I was never invited to the corporate board meetings where they were talking high level strategy implementation. Very rarely invited.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's happening today. I read an article in Forbes. I want to read a little bit of it to you, because it was so enlightening for me. We've heard of the Great Resignation, right?
We have.
Well, this is called the Great Breakup from Forbes magazine 2022. Women are demanding more from work. They're leaving their companies in unprecedented numbers to get it. Women are switching jobs, not just women leaders are switching jobs at the highest rate they've ever seen, and even a higher rate than men in leadership. This could have serious implications for companies. Why? Because women are already significantly underrepresented in leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And for years, fewer women have risen to the ranks because of the broken rung. So we're trying to climb the ladder, and women can't climb it because the rung that they're trying to get to is broken. I thought that was phenomenal. What are your thoughts about the great breakup?
I think because we're feeling more empowered. I think the time out that we got from COVID-19 really let many women from across the globe get a chance to connect with each other and find out and be vulnerable and say what's really going on. And so that they were able to connect and see that I'm not the only one dealing with this. And in that vulnerability, they became empowered. I know for me, it has. I mean, I know for me, part of the reason that I am not my authentic self, particularly in a corporate setting, is because I feel almost that I have to represent, because you have this, they may already have this idea of how I'm going to act. Am I going to be angry? Am I going to have an attitude? So then I have to put on a mask that where I'm trying to prove everything not. And by doing so, I'm not authentic and I'm not representing myself. And then when I'm ready to be myself, it's too late. You know, it's,
I love that. Where did you come from? Is that,
right.
Is that how you all normally
What do you mean you're not going to do the report? Oh, I'm not doing it. I should have told you before. You know, so how do you get past that? What was your experience when you were in corporate America? Did you feel like you needed to represent for all Black people everywhere or for all women everywhere?
Yeah, I absolutely did. And, you know, it was funny because my friend Deborah Washington, shout out to you, Deborah. She and I were the only 2 engineers in this corporation, female and Black, with high clearance in the government. And we would come apart, like not come apart physically, but we would take ourselves away from the office so that we wouldn't come apart and talk about the things that affected us. And we could be genuine and authentic with each other, but we would never show that. As a matter of fact, I remember one of our bosses, we had, she was expecting us, for oddly enough, to be catty when we first met. Deborah was already working there, and then I got hired on. And so what our boss did was coupled us together so that Deborah could train me on how to operate the network, systems engineer. So we hit it off the first minute we met, and we've been friends ever since. And this is almost 15 years ago. And the boss was so annoyed, get this, annoyed that we got along, that she separated us. She put me in one location and she put Deborah in another location. And funny enough, what it did was cause our friendship to forge tighter. She didn't understand that we really were engineers, and we engineered a way to talk online. Now they call it Skype, but
Right.
We figured out a way to build a network privately to talk online, engineers now, without anybody knowing. And so we would talk every day, face to face and online, because we built our own separate network within the network. So, you know, don't tell us what we can't do as women, and don't tell us that you want to separate us, because when we want to be together, we will find a way. Yeah, so it's representing, I was thinking this whole time that we were making inroads to STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, for the women that were coming behind us. But really and truly, there hasn't been a lot of shifting with more and more women. Now, there are some, but, and I don't have the statistic, but I know that it's not that great. It's not that great. There's another statistic I wanted to really talk to you about, and that is, again, from Forbes. It talks about how women have the lowest in the workforce. Women have the lowest percentage of CEOs at the C-suite level, and that's what I want to change. That's my mission. That's my movement, to change that number, to change that trajectory for women coming behind us, to make sure that they are the doors are opening for women that come behind us, whether they be black, white, pink, polka dotted, purple. Women are more capable of building organizations because they are not as authoritative as men. And
well, you're the woman to do it.
Yeah.
You're the woman to do it because you help them build confidence. And then once they have that confidence, you help them figure out how to communicate. I mean, if we're honest with ourselves, most women are CEOs of their home to start with. So we figured out a way to be a chef, an Uber driver, a tutor, a nurse, a wife, somebody's mama.
Yes.
Go to work. What's it called? Instacart. We figured out a way to do all that and still somehow keep smiling. You know, we wear this cape.
Oh my gosh.
This lead cape, oftentimes is really just pulling you down to a place that you don't know how to go up, because you give, and no one is ever really pouring in, not intentionally anyway. And that's why we have to be vulnerable with each other. Sis, I'm dealing with that too. You too? Yes, you too. I have children that are doing this, that, and the third. I have the teachers dealing with this, that, and the third. And then at work, I have to go out of my way to try to prove that I can do this job just as good as Bob over here. And
sometimes better.
Sometimes it has to be better. It has to be better for you to even see me. And then many times what happens, somebody has to suffer. Sometimes it's just you, but sometimes it's your family. And, you know, you look back and you're like, what happened? You know, what happened to all this time?
Yeah, listen to that. And that brings me to what I have been dealing with the last several months, several weeks. It's more weeks than months. And Shani, you said something to me about, Miss Ma'am, it's okay for you to take off that cape and rest. And when Viola said that in the clip, that it's a historical DNA related trauma, that I didn't feel like I deserved to rest. And because of it, I have spent my entire life working and running, and, you know, I got to do this for legacy. I got to do this for generational wealth. And I worked and I worked and I worked, and I made a living. But what happened in the interim is I didn't really make a life for my kids. You know, as a single mother for a long, long time, I worked trying to make ends meet. One point I said to myself, are ends supposed to meet? But
soon as they come together, one of them goes and moves, right?
I was working so much and providing for my family that I neglected my children's emotional well-being. And now here I am at this stage and age of my life, wondering what I have done. And it's hurtful.
It is hurtful. It is hurtful. But
Yeah.
the blessing is you still have today.
I still have now. I still have
Right.
now. And
Right.
that brings us to why you have to let go of the past and forgive yourself so that you can move into your greatness. Who getting teary-eyed?
Yes. Oh, I was ready, but I'm holding on. See, I'm ready. But that's the hardest part of letting go, because you're still some kind of way holding on to the fact that you don't really deserve it. When you hear it's because I don't deserve I'm good enough, then it sounds like, no, that's not me. I deserve it. Yeah. But the reality is,
looking for a tissue.
Deep down. You were supposed to be prepared. I
was ready for that. But I was determined I wasn't going to drop tears today.
No, I mean, that's the vulnerable side that I'm talking about, that women have to get into discussions about. You're not the only one.
Yeah.
You know, imagine there's a woman who's a laborer, you know, maybe she was a hotel housekeeper. Imagine how many hours she has to work to try to make ends meet.
And be away from her children.
Then you have to trust somebody. It's just, we have to come together. We have to figure out a way and build community back.
Yeah.
Whether it's your neighbor, or a community that you build within yourselves.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of women came together when it came down to schooling. You know, math is my strong point. I help the kids with the math. Reading is her strong point. You're going to help the kids. We have to get back to that village.
That village, yes. Yes.
Because if you want to go fast, you go alone. But if you want to go far, look at it.
I love it. I was looking for a quote that Bruce George gave to me that was so profound about forgiving yourself. And I can't find it right now. I should have had it in front of me. But in any event,
paraphrase.
The moral of the story is, when you forgive, you set the prisoner free, only to find out that the prisoner is you.
Wow.
When you forgive, you set a prisoner free, only to find out that the prisoner is you. And that's one of the quotes that I will be using in the Empowering You next series, Let Go of the Past and Step into Your Greatness. I want to let the audience know that I am actually writing my story, part of my story, in this book. So you need to be on the lookout for that. Coming up soon. We are in the process of writing now.
Yeah. There's not a working woman alive that can't resonate with that.
Yeah. And you said that to me, and it was so profound to hear you say, that's going to be one of the signature stories, because so many women can resonate with that. Dr. Tracy Ward, shout out to her. She is our project manager for the Empowering You series of books. And she also said that you got to tell that story, because there's so many women who need that story told, so that they can see that they're not alone.
No.
Yeah.
Some strategies to fix it. And Diggs, by the way, 7 said, "Hey, what's up?" So hey.
That's so good. I'm so happy to see you out there, Diggs. loving that you showed up and stopped by. Please chime in. We will shout out your comments online. And anyone out there who knows someone who would love to be on the Empowering You show, tell them how to get here, Shani.
You can hit me up. Send me an email at support@barbarahsmith.com. That's support@barbarahsmith. 2 bars, an H, Smith. Okay.
That's 2 bars and an A. Don't forget the A.
2 bars and an A. An H. Hit me up. But no, we want to highlight people who are doing big things, whether in business, whether in your community. We have to highlight. We have to celebrate each other. Give each other our flowers while we can see them, smell them, touch them, right?
Yeah. But back to Viola's clip, she talked about that rest. why is it feel for me, it feels like when I'm resting, I am not doing anything. But even in the Bible, Christ rested on the seventh day. You
Right.
know, I feel like if I'm not doing something, that I'm doing nothing. But the truth of the matter is, when you're not doing something, if you are using your mind to read or professional development,
Mhm.
um, growing yourself, you still are doing something. My coach, Michelle Pippin, shout out to Michelle, Barbara Michelle Pippin. She also says great things about how you need to infuse more professional development. And she does a lot of that with Women Who Wow. So shout out to Women Who Wow, which I am a proclaimed member and also participating member. Shout out to Women Who Wow and Michelle Pippin, who does a phenomenal job with seriously driven women entrepreneurs. I'm going to get her on the show one of these days.
You have to. You have to. I can say too that one part about resting for me is that when I'm not just busy being busy, I can hear from God.
Mm.
So I combine rest and fasting together, so I don't have to think about anything else, and I can just hear.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's a way to help you activate your faith. Because if I've already asked for it, I don't, you know, that's it. I just believe that it is what it is, and I will accomplish whatever he has me here to do.
And that's another point that I want to talk about is many of us don't know our purpose.
Mhm.
The purpose driven life is a life of joy and ease. And I for so long thought that you shouldn't be at ease, you should be working.
Right.
So how do you get at ease if you're working?
Yeah, because you could be caught up in the 40, 40, 40. You work for 40 years, 40 hours a week, and then you get to live off of 40%. You don't know what tomorrow brings. You don't know what retirement looks like. And many people at this point couldn't retire if they wanted to. So if you don't create rest and you don't learn how to be present and enjoy life as it is today, never taking for granted that you have tomorrow,
Yeah.
changes the whole thing. I know Viola's story. I love it to death because her beginnings are so hard,
Yes.
so rough, and for her to be able to say, you know what, you're supposed to be having a life of ease, when it would feel like, no, you got to keep fighting, you got to keep scratching. She says, no, that's not it.
She said something else too that I want to highlight. She talked about her career, and she talked about one of the callers called in and said, if you had the opportunity to do the Woman King, by the way, if you haven't seen the Woman King, you need to see that at least a couple of times.
It's on Netflix.
The Woman King starring Viola Davis. And she talked about how the caller asked her, would you have taken the Woman King's role before the other roles that you played? She paused because she wanted to make sure she was heard when she said, I have been in this career for 30 years. And the Woman King is the culmination. You don't get to come in at this level by not having paid your dues.
Mm-hmm.
That was so profound for me because a lot of times people say, oh, she's an overnight success. But
Right.
what they don't see is the tears, the grind, the sleepless nights, the calling and calling and calling on, in her case, movie producers and script writers, and taking the menial roles to build her accolade to the place where they see her.
Right.
And she said something that blew me away, that because her skin is dark, she has to fight harder. That is so unfair, but so true.
Mm-hmm.
And I recognize that in my own life, that I am still fighting to get that acclaim, that I am who I say I am. And she talked about that being one of the things that people don't understand, and people need to understand especially the younger crew coming up behind us, they live in a microwave society. They want instant success. And sure, does instant success happen? It absolutely does. But more times than not, the people that you see as an overnight success have paid their dues.
And then some.
And then some.
They didn't just pay it, their loved ones paid it too. That's the part that no one really talks about. They want to make it seem like, it's all in a rose-colored glass. It's unicorns and glitter. Everybody was in this. So if you have a family business, everybody's in that business, whether they want to be or not, whether they signed up for it or not. When I was doing cupcakes, I would remember hearing the birds chirp, and I'm like, great. Well, that means I'm not going to sleep. Great. But I still have to go to work. I still have to do my 9 to 5 because my 9 to 5 was funding the other part, like the household bills, my household responsibilities. And I had to kind of find a medium to make sure I had dinner on the table, make sure clothes were laid out, and all this. Like, what am I doing here? What is happening?
Yeah, and you breezed over that like that was nothing. Like help me understand how you had a cupcake business, was a wife, a mother, went without sleep, because first of all, without sleep does not even equate in my brain. Like my body shuts down, literally shuts down at a certain amount of hours awake, right? There is no pushing me to have no sleep. It just doesn't work in my body. So help me understand how you did that. What was going on?
It was God and Duncan. Like it literally was. Mother's Day weekend was always Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We used to do an event at a local winery, and they would get anywhere from 1,600 to up to 2,400 cupcakes from us, right? And we'd run this thing. It was wine pairing.
Wait. And you baked 1,600 to 2,400 cupcakes?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, October of 2019, I baked 10,000 cupcakes that month. That was, just me, right? My sister was a decorator. But we're talking, I still have to go to work because I don't want to use all my vacation time for these events, right? But I also at the time was a caregiver for my mom. So somehow I was going over there 3 times a day. I don't know. All I can tell you is I would get like this hive reaction where I was just like itchy, and I'm like, because I'm really tired, and tired really is like worse than being drunk any day as far as trying to drive. And I would just be I can remember being so nervous driving to my cafe, which was 20 minutes away from my house and job and my parents' house, and just feeling like this can't be it. This can't be it. But I would love when people would come and pick up their items or they taste it. And I love that part. So that part would kind of kept me going. But I can tell you, after letting that go, you couldn't beg me to bake you anything right now, because I appreciate, because I missed a lot of time with my mom before she really got bad. I missed a lot of time with her running back and forth, making sure everybody had the greatest cupcakes at their event. And
I want the greatest cupcakes at my event coming up in October.
No. What I can do is taste test some and tell you where to get them from. But I regret that. And I felt so guilty about it. And because I was tired, there were days that I was really frustrated that I even had to help take care of her. And so I get you on the guilt. I got my daughter. Here I am, somebody who loves bringing healing. I have my daughter in the car. We're going to Wendy's at midnight. She has to go to school too. It's not just me. It's not just me that's not getting any sleep. She's not either. So she's like, sleep at the cafe, sleep in the car. I gotta wake her up, somehow bathe her. It was just, I don't know where the energy came from. I did it. I'm glad that I did it in a way, because I know my limits. I know what I can do. I know what I'm capable of. But baby, I don't ever have to work that hard again. I have it in me, but no.
That's what women around the world need to hear. They need to hear that, it's not worth it when you exchange the time, because that's the part you don't get back.
Right.
That's the part that's the hurtful part for me. I don't get it back. And so I spent all this time working, all this time earning a living instead of making a living. And, again, I am forgiving myself, have not totally forgiven, but I am forgiving myself for that and making amends by spending as much time now as I have left. Because
Right.
the reality is we don't know that we have the rest of today.
No.
And so we gotta take the time to be there, be present. And that part too, Shani, you said before, and I'll say it again, I have to constantly remind myself, be present.
Mm-hmm.
Be present now.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm doing things, even just making coffee in the morning, sometimes I have a sequence of things I do, but sometimes I get out of sequence because I'm not present. And I remind myself, be present, make the coffee. Simple as that. Making yourself aware that you're not present. We talk a lot about confidence. All of those things are joined together at the hip. How do you present yourself, both to the world and to your family, the people who love and need you? How do you talk to them? We have a course today at the end of 6 p.m. At the end of the show, we talk about it more, but I want to just drop in right now. If you join us tonight, it's a storytelling speaker training. And essentially, businesses as well as just everyday people need to be able to make a point with their stories. Mm-hmm. And my coach always said, never tell a story without a point and never make a point without a story. We'll teach you how tonight at 6 p.m. The link is below. bit.ly storytelling speaker training. What else you got, Shani?
Well, I must say that I want to talk about tools that we can do to make sure that we're present.
Yes.
I want to say that, like, if you can just stop, you get notifications constantly. And as you're doing it, you think you can, no, blocking out your time and say, these are my non-negotiables. Even if you say, I don't care if you have to put in your calendar, this 15 minutes, I am doing nothing. I'm putting the phone on airplane mode or turning it off altogether. Because back in the day when you didn't have a phone or you used to have a busy signal, right? You just had to wait. They have to wait. It has to wait. You have to create these non-negotiables. And I think as you do and as you exercise, no. The answer is no. You start to become empowered.
What's your non-negotiables? Give me a couple.
Right now, my non-negotiables are, there's certain foods. I've been fasting the last 31 days or so I haven't had any, meat, dairy, sugar, anything with gluten. And at first, it was like my typical fast where I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. But this time, I feel like self-care now is not a sacrifice. And it's just, I literally have had chicken every kind of way you have. So it's almost like I've been there, done that. This is my last stint in rehab. So my non-negotiable is that I am not going back to finding comfort in food. Ooh. I am just not. At that moment where I'm saying, oh, I did something great today, I'm going to buy myself and eat. No. Instead, I'm going to take the time to stop, journal, and get into some serious prayer, because that's my non-negotiable. I'm calling it like it is. For me, it's like crack. I'm not going back to rehab. That was my last stint. That's it. I don't want it. I done smoked it, fried it, laid to the side it. I don't want that anymore, because how I feel is better than, I really can't even put words on it, like as far as inflammation. So my non-negotiable now is, although I might have to prepare food for other people, the people in my house, it's a non-negotiable for me. I don't want it.
So give us before we get out of here, you are the chef, the Can-Do Spice chef with the spicy blends that have healing benefits. Give us a sample menu of what you might eat.
Well, so typically I don't even break fast until I've gotten a chance to read my devotions, right? So it could be 1 o'clock, like right now we're at 12:40, I haven't eaten yet, right? I will break fast with some fruit. just plain fruit. And then typically my go-to protein is chickpeas, but I also love mushrooms. So I am planning on later making a falafel. I already have the chickpeas soaking, and I'll add like some cilantro. I'm actually going to add Mary greens to that because it has undertones of lemon and basil and marjoram. So it's going to be a very soulful side of falafel, not a Greek side. Because I don't know if you know, I'm not Greek. So I'm not going to make it like that. But that's what I'm going to have later. Probably a little quinoa. And I think the vegetable I have downstairs right now is some cabbage. So I'll probably have that. But that is enough to sustain me. I have this weird feeling about food. And Mark says, I'm certainly not Greek. I'm not. I'll go, though. You can send me a ticket. But it just, I feel differently about food. And I'm so grateful right now that I created that non-negotiable. That is it. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. This time right here is the time for you'll say, this is what you're going to have. And it's going to be enough. Because
I need that mantra, because I've been eating everything in the kitchen sink, even though I put on my vision board that I need to lose.
But it adds another layer of guilt, you know? So you're like, I'm going to I'm going to eat my food. And the problem is, like, I don't want to not enjoy it. It kind of doesn't make sense, because what happens is you don't just like, you suffer from what you eat later, you know? So yeah, you're not instantly like, probably not going to instantly keel over, but later on, as those arteries clog up, you know, you're unnecessarily suffering. And it means you're looking for, like, if you're looking for something salty, you have high anxiety. If you're looking for sweets, you're looking for some comforting, loving feeling, you know, and we have to learn how to love on ourselves and really get into the word and read it and understand. And as the lovely Barbara H. Smith turned me on to the NLT version, I can read the Bible now. I'm just saying, because me and King James, I was lost. I didn't know what he was talking about.
We are at the top of the hour, and we have had a phenomenal time talking about everything from eating and eating disorders and the Women's History Month. We want you to continue to enjoy Women's History Month.
Mm-hmm.
Love on a woman today. It could be your spouse, your girlfriend, your mom, your auntie, your child, but make sure you understand that women are the reason you're even here. We're running out of time. Shani, do you have any last outtakes you want to give before I give our final parting words?
I just want to see you tonight at 6, because you need some storytelling strategies. We all have a story. We all have a story. And it's in sharing that story that we become closer. So join us tonight for some strategies.
Yes, if you want to have impact, advance your agenda, your career, your organization, and you need to know how to tell your story with impact and advance your agenda. You know what time it is? I got my watch on today. It's time for you to step into your greatness, because the world truly is waiting for you. That's our show tonight. Take us out, Mark. Engage, inspire, empower. That's what I help you do as a celebrity, speaker, trainer, and coach. Hi, I'm Barbara H. Smith, known as the Masterful Presenter. I am the one that can help you dig deep inside your passions and deep inside your life to get you to the place you always dreamed.
I have the pleasure of hearing Miss Barbara Holmes Smith speak today, and just from her speaking to me today, I have realized that I need to have personalized my alter ego and be able to put myself out there a lot more.
I help through speaking techniques, teaching you how to use your words and your body language to inspire people to come up higher.
Today's presentation with Ms. Barbara was just outstanding. She has really helped me with her personality, with her being so genuine and passionate about what she believes in and helping to coach, train. Her sense of humor, her energy is just it's just incredible.
How do I do that? By coaching and speaking and training. I help you with whatever it is that you want to do next. What is your next? Are you ready to take your life, your career to the next level? I can get you there. Contact me at www.barbarahsmith.com.